Now, unlike Kevin Boothby's boat on How to Sail Oceans, which is a pretty good website, you should check. I mean, YouTube page, you should check it out. I have an engine, he doesn't, and with a diesel engine, which you can hear running in the background, you have to change the oil, and I do that every year, every season. So right now I've been running the engine for about a half hour just to kind of heat it up and also check things out. So let's go change the oil. Okay, first thing we got to do is turn the engine off. Stop. Turn the engine off. And on the Ericson 32 Mark III, the engine is underneath the engine cover. You have to remove the ladder first. 3 snaps. Okay. Now you got to make space for the engine cover, which I did right here on to the cushion down. So we pull it out and drag it backwards. All right, now my engine has a banjo type fitting in the oil pan, the sump, and this line here goes down to feed that. Let me get a flashlight. If you look down there, it's kind of greasy. You can see it, and there's this hose here that goes up, and there's a fitting. And of course that's there so because you cannot get the oil out of the bottom of the engine without sucking it out. So to accomplish that, we need a pump. Here it is here. It's a storage container for the used oil and a diaphragm pump, which hooks up to my 12-volt starter battery over there. Get this cable out of here. And you can see there's a lot of oil left over from last year. All right, here's the hose that connects the tank, this tank, to the oil hose that goes to the banjo fitting. It has a fitting here. It goes into here. Basically a press fit. And then over here at the hose, drop it in here. Put this in here. All right, so everything's in place, everything's hooked up. This is, as far as I can tell, at the bottom of the pan. Let's get this hooked up. Positive to positive, negative to negative. All right, and little switches underneath this weatherproof seal. It's going to get loud. And of course, the reason you run the engine is to heat the oil up, and you can kind of see it starting to get sucked in right there. There it goes. It even makes a little bit of a different sound when it's sucking the water, the oil out. So we will just let that run. Okay, it's been about 15 minutes, and I think it's everything's pretty empty. You can, when it's running, you can actually feel the warm oil coming through here. And let me turn this thing off. You can actually feel the warm oil coming through here, and that's when you know you got it working. And the other thing is, although I have a hose that connects to a banjo fitting at the bottom of the oil pan, if you don't have this, what it's really intended to do is to go down the dipstick tube. So I just use this hose because it's here and it just, why not? Okay, so let's get this thing extracted, and towel, wipe it off. Okay, and you got to wash the end. There's always a little oil in the end. And put this fitting back on, because we're done with this till next year. I threw away the old bag and got a brand new one. Note to self, buy more gloves. As you can see, I'm getting it on my hands. Get this in here. And sealed up for next year. So what do we do with this oil? I'm fortunate enough to have a marina, a very full service marina, and they have an oil dump where I will carry this over to, after I secure the cord, and dump it in the oil dump, which they, I imagine, have picked up to recycle. Okay, here we are at the oil dump. Had a lock on it. Open it up. Take the oil, and there it goes. Good. Okay, with the pump out all cleaned up and emptied. Okay, so here we are at the oil filter, which is on an M-25XP, M-25XP rather. It's located here and it's horizontal. So as you can imagine, when you take the oil filter off, any oil that's there is going to overflow down into the bilge. So to help alleviate some of that, not all of it, I put the filter actually into a plastic bag as much as I can before I take it off too much. All right, but the other thing is, fan belt's in the way. All right, there we go. Of course, I have my paper towels and my oil diapers, whatever you call these things, ready to go. So let's put them under here, because we are going to get oil on this engine. Get this in there. All right. Okay, I think that's enough. I don't want to loosen it to the point where the oil starts coming out and I don't have a bag over it. There we go. As you can see, it gets a little messy, but eventually you get it off. There it is. Wasn't too bad. So there's the universal engine oil filter 300209. All nice and clean, but we can't have that. So if you ever change oil in a car, you know you should take a little oil and rub it onto the seal, because it just makes for a better seal when you put it on. Clean this a little bit so that when it's running it doesn't look like it's leaking, even though it may have been oil from me putting it on. Just screw it in. Okay, and of course you want to do it hand tight, even though at the end of the season it always takes a tool to get it off. Now I'm speaking to those who've never done this before, so you all who have done this before know all this. Okay, so I thought I had oil on board, and I didn't. So I had to make a short trip to the marina next door, which had some oil, but I couldn't get what I wanted which was 10W40 heavy duty diesel oil, and all they had was the 15W40, but it's made for, it is heavy duty diesel engine oil. And the guy at behind the counter said this is the most common one now. So I guess it's not going to hurt. If anybody watching this video has a different opinion, please tell me. But and the other thing is, I thought I had my spout on board, and for some reason that has disappeared. So I'm going to have to be very careful pouring this into the engine. Now the engine is dry. By the book, this takes 4 quarts of oil. But of course, there's always a little bit of oil left over in the engine that I can't get out. It's just in there. So it probably won't take 4 quarts. So you have to kind of sneak up on it. So let's start by seeing if I can get this poured in here without a spout. See how good my nerves are today. Oh, that was close. Well, it's not too bad. I'm getting it, but... Okay, quart number 2. I think it's really important that you change your oil every year. I mean, no matter how little or how much you run your engine, your diesel engine, if you're on the East Coast, you know, it's sitting in the engine all through the winter. And I'm sure that's not a great thing. Okay, let's wait a little bit, and I'll take the dipstick out and see how much the level is. Okay, I don't know if you can see this, but get it to focus here. That's the dipstick. Where my thumb is the full line. So it actually shows half full. I'm going to start the engine, run it for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then shut it down. Take another look at the dipstick, and if we need to fill more, we'll put more in. All right. Around the engine and look for leaks around that oil filter. Didn't see any. So let's check the dipstick. Wipe it off. And as you can see, okay, there's my thumb again. And there's less oil on the stick. All right, so we're going to drop another quart in there, and I think that might do it, but we're going to do the same procedure over again. I really missed my funnel. There we go. I think I'm going to stop there. It's not quite a quart. And run the engine, see what happens. All right. So here we are with almost a full quart in there. Another quart, a third quart. And you can see we're about back where we started. So I'll probably drop the rest of that quart in there. I think we have room for it. But you can see it's almost a quart of oil that you really can't get out of this engine. Because of the way it's positioned, because of the way it's tilted, and you know, there's oil in all kind of parts inside. So even though the book says 4 quarts, after you change the oil, it doesn't take 4 quarts. So you got to be careful you don't overfill the engine.